and our meeting tonight is now open for sharing testimonies of healing through Christian Science. Nancy from New Jersey, go ahead.
Good evening. I wish to express my gratitude for the service this evening, the beautiful readings and uplifting music. My gratitude to my practitioner whose prayers and support, love and guidance help to keep me grounded and centered in God, and for all that we are being taught in this church each week that enriches us in our daily lives. Last week seemed to be filled with all kinds of requests for my time that I felt were going to take time away from the prayer and study that I had planned on accomplishing. At first, I started to feel a little frustrated, and then I remembered what we've been taught, that instead of sitting in our prayer chair, so to speak, it's also important to be up and doing, demonstrating, and living the truths that we are learning and bringing them to others. I was asked to go to a medical appointment with my husband, which was going to take several hours, and the following day to accompany a family member to a funeral service in another state, taking up a good part of that day. Neither place was an environment that I wanted to be in, but I felt that it was right and a loving thing to do. Previously, I had been working with the article Overcoming by Obedience by Martha Wilcox. And in that article, she writes, "Opportunities await us hourly to manifest that love which is imparted and reaches out to all mankind. Such love is the gift of God, a reflection of that love which includes all of its ideas and tenderly and impartially protects them." The statement of truth not only protected me from being taken in by the material scenes, both at the doctor's office and at the funeral service, but it also enabled me to mentally pour out truth and love to everyone that was around me. And it provided me with several opportunities to share some truths with others who were in need of comfort. In both situations, I could see the results of God's ever-present love taking place. I'm so very grateful for this valuable lesson, that no matter how well-intended we may think our plans are, it is God's plan and how He wishes us to spend our time that is the perfect plan and the only plan we should have. I'm very grateful for this opportunity that God provided to me to express His love, and I am very grateful to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeremy.
Before coming to Plainfield, I always had this feeling that there was a lot of pressure on me to take care of my family and my work and to try to prepare for the future. I never felt like it was caused by ambition, but it just seemed like everyone must feel like this to some degree. When I came to this church and started doing the work I'm doing, there was almost a doubling of that self-imposed pressure. It seemed like I had a lot to do, and I felt like God didn't save me just so I could turn around and give anything less than 100%. Well then, after a few years of learning Christian Science and a long period of regular practitioner support, which included her giving me Mary Baker Eddy's only use of the word pressure from Science and Health, which is on page 451, quote, "Christian scientists must live under the constant pressure of the apostolic command to come out from the material world and be separate," end quote. After that, I finally started to let myself drop that human sense of pressure. And by releasing that self-imposed weight, I've been able to, rather surprisingly, get more work done and feel much more rested afterward. I no longer experience this stretch of furiously working followed by a bit of time where I need to recharge. Instead, I'm able to move forward, listening for the inspiration that comes from God, and doing the work each day that feels right. I go to sleep happy that I did what needs doing, and I wake up ready to get back to it. Every part of my life has benefited from this change. Even driving has become an opportunity to see the beauty of God's creation, and each trip gets me there quicker than when I was annoyed and aggressive the whole way. I also no longer worry about the future, because God has shown me He took care of yesterday, He took care of today, so I am certain He will take care of tomorrow. I'm so grateful for this practical science, practitioner support, and every blessing that being a member of this church has brought into my life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Diana from Berlin and Vienna. I'm in Berlin now, and I want to express my gratitude for a remarkable experience I had recently that clearly demonstrated to me the proof of God's care. In early August, I started a third year teaching music at an elementary school in Berlin. When I arrived at the school 2 years before, there had been basically no music education going on in the music program. So I had to start it from scratch, which was fine with me because it allowed me to create a worthy program that brings value to the lives of the children I teach, their families, and the school. In the last 2 years, I was able to do that, and it indeed has made an enormous positive impact on the children who are happier, focusing and concentrating better, learning more, accepting healthy discipline, and finding more creative outlets for self-expression. Whenever I see parents, they are happy, and there used to be very unhappy parents. When the parents see me, they light up, smile at me, and thank me. The school also has completely turned around and is becoming quite a good school. Still, at the end of last school year and the beginning of this year, I didn't know how I was going to face another year of this work. I really am an opera singer, song recitalist, and voice teacher, and although I love children, love this extremely important work, and am enormously grateful for this job, which came to me out of the blue at a time when I really needed it for many reasons. I was feeling exhausted and without any energy left to sing. I felt that I was losing the focus on my life's work, particularly the skill and artistry that I have spent my life working extremely hard to learn and refine. Then, after a testimony meeting in September, when one testifier said that her house was undamaged during the recent hurricane in Florida, I thought about what she said. She said that she saw God in the clouds, in the wind and the storm. I thought that I should do this with the school. In Berlin, I am 6 hours ahead of Plainfield, so I usually listen to the Wednesday testimony meeting in the middle of the night on Wednesday or early Thursday morning when I'm getting ready for work and on my way to school. Usually I bless the school and the children and the staff on my walk from the bus stop to the school. But on Thursday morning, I decided to see God in the cement blocks that make up the school. The school had been an old American Army base, so there are a lot of cement blocks. I saw God in the cement blocks, the bricks, the blue vinyl floor tiles, the rug, the fluorescent lights, the styrofoam squares in the ceilings. I saw God everywhere, including in the children and the staff. That evening I went home and I checked my email. I saw an email from a voice teacher organization that I am part of, and I usually don't open emails from this organization. This was a job opportunity email, and I spontaneously decided that I may as well look inside. When I opened it, I marveled at how God works. The email advertised a job for a soprano artist pedagogue, which is exactly who I am, to join the voice faculty at a very important conservatory of music in the United States, where people are aware of my work. Even more interesting is that about a week later, a friend emailed me about another job announcement for a voice professor at another important school of music in the city I am from in the United States. In the meantime, I have applied for these positions, and although I have no idea what the outcome will be, I am feeling much better. I know that no matter what happens, I have the faith to know that God is going to put me in the right place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jim from Arizona, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for this readings and the beautiful music. That was outstanding. A while back, I gave a testimony concerning setting aside eyeglasses. Now it's been over 2 years. since I've worn glasses. The most amazing part of this is that I had worn glasses ever since I was in college. I have no trouble reading our lesson every day, in addition to other readings such as reading our textbook, Science and Health, from cover to cover. I am most grateful for this healing messages that are contained in our text, Science and Health, with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne from Florida, go ahead.
2 years ago, I fell in the shower and fractured 2 vertebrae. I wasn't attending this church at the time and had outpatient surgery to set it. Although I was able to walk again within 2 months, it still caused me great pain, and for over a year I wasn't able to sleep in my bed at night. When I came back to church here, I asked a practitioner to pray for me, and within a day or so I was able to sleep comfortably in my bed again. However, about a month ago, I realized that I was walking hunched over in order to relieve the pain in my back. So I asked this practitioner for help with this also. Recently, she strongly pointed out to me that I was accepting a lot of negative thoughts about myself. Thoughts of guilt, self-condemnation, pride, yada, yada, yada. All what is known as personal sense. The practitioner said, "How can you expect to heal your back if you're not standing up to these wrong thoughts?" Of course, that was the backbone that was needed. It was like a smack on the side of the head to me. Well, that was 2 weeks ago, and since then, I've been standing up to those negative thoughts when they try to come to me and kicking them out. As a result, I've been walking upright without any pain. Every day I walk 2 miles and have been able to do the whole distance, plus a 4-mile bike ride without hunching over or from pain. I'm so grateful for this practitioner's tough love and strong help. It was the best thing she could have done for me. I'm grateful to God and Mrs. Eddy for this wonderful Christian Science and to be part of this healing church. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen? Karen from California, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the readings tonight. I want to express my gratitude for an angel message that I had the other morning. Since I have found Plainfield Church, I have been learning how to better handle thoughts that are clearly not coming from God. Through the instruction here and its many resources available on the website, and working with my practitioner, the first thing I must do is to declare that these thoughts of fear, doubt, discouragement, confusion, etc., are not coming from my thinking, but from animal magnetism. Mrs. Eddy says in the Blue Book, quote, "When error speaks, nothing is said," unquote. What came next to my thought was the Bible quote from Jeremiah 29, quote, "I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end," unquote. Those words assured me that God's thoughts bring peace and that as his child, I was created to hear only his word. The words, "fill my place as listener," came to me, but I couldn't remember where they came from. As I continued to listen, I turned to the Blue Book Concordance, and it directed me to page 61, where Mrs. Eddy says, quote, "Father, teach me how to still the clamoring of sense and fill my place as listener, that I may hear thy voice and grow to understand thy word, and so become thy messenger," unquote. I was so grateful to find this because I had not read these particular words for a very long time, and yet they came to me just when I needed them. I realized that nothing is ever lost in the divine mind. No good can ever be forgotten. I then went to our concordance to Mrs. Eddy's writings, continuing with the words listen and listener. On page 328 in miscellaneous writings, I read, quote, "If thou strayest, listen for the mountain horn, and it will call thee back to the path that goeth upward," unquote. I was so grateful for these words, for they assured me that no matter how seemingly clamoring the senses seem to be at times, God's word is as a mountain horn. His message will get through if we are trusting enough to know his voice can be heard above all else. I am so grateful for all that I am learning here about my oneness with God and his love for me, and to know that whatever I acknowledge to be true about me, my duty as a Christian Scientist is to embrace all mankind in that knowing, and that it will go out and bless others. As Mrs. Eddy says in Miscellany on page 165, quote, "I am able to impart truth, health, and happiness, and this is the rock of my salvation and my reason for existing," unquote. Thank you so much for this service tonight and for all the testimonies so far.
Thank you. Dave from Florida, go ahead.
Hi. Years ago, when I got out of the Navy, I came home and I needed a job. I really had no idea what I wanted to do, nor did I have any experience that would help me get a decent job. So I asked a practitioner in this church for help. She assured me that God had a good plan for me and that she would support it. She urged me to make sure I am praying and listening for his voice in everything I do. Well, he definitely did have a good plan for me, because within 2 weeks, I got a good job at a very large corporation. And I have to say, God's plan for me stayed in effect for my entire career there, which was 30 years. There were many times when the company was downsizing and my job was going to be eliminated. Each time that happened, I got help from the practitioner and was always able to find a new and better job within the company. Some were even promotions. I'm very grateful for the work of that practitioner and for God's protection. It's good to know that he has a plan for us, and it's always good. We just need to always pray and listen for his voice. When we do, good things happen. I'm very grateful for this church, for the healing practitioners here, for Christian Science, and for the lessons that I have and am learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Fairley from Maryland, go ahead.
Thank you for the beautiful readings on wisdom. The last time I had a check of my eyes, the eye doctor said at the end that he might have to do a laser treatment on my right eye, which I had never had any problem with. I didn't ask him what the problem was. So I went back 6 months later, just recently, and I was using the article provided by Plainfield called Sight by A. Krager. In that, I used the part that says, "So will it ever be with sight. It is purely mental, discernment, perception." So when I went back just a week or two ago, 6 months later, I had another checkup of the eyes, and there proved to be no such problem. It wasn't even mentioned. In fact, the doctor said to me that day, "You're a wonder. Perfect." I'm very grateful all the help I've received at Plainfield, for the support and instruction of my practitioner, and for all the testimonies tonight. I'm very grateful for all the testimonies and for everything that goes on at Plainfield. Thank you for the readings. And everybody have a very good night.
Thank you. Luba from Ohio, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm so grateful for God's protection last week when there were strong storms and high winds occurring for almost 2 days. During this time, I prayed for my own protection and for everyone else too. Many power outages did occur and trees toppled, but locally the area was unharmed. I'm so grateful for God's ongoing protection and for practitioner support and for Christian Science. Thank you so much for tonight's reading, and I am grateful to be here this evening.
Thank you. Craig.
Thank you for the beautiful readings of wisdom and such a precious skill or coming from God. I wanted to give gratitude for Christian Science has really made me a much more peaceful and simpler person. But I'm sure with all the lessons, learning to listen to practitioners and to listen to Mary Baker's readings and the other wonderful workers, I've learned so much about what to put off and not to be so complicated, but to just listen and follow God's direction. Because without that, we really can't walk a straight line with God. So I thank God very much for what I call the wisdom that kept me here, to not to be enticed by maybe fancy things or opportunities, but to remain that the most important thing is how much good you can do. And you can't do any more good than to do it with others, because you, in that place, you're stronger, you're safer, and you're wiser, because you can hear them and God telling you what's right. I found, in gratitude, that I used to have a skill. You can never lose anything, God, but I could usually see what I was going to do before I finished it. And it gave me great pleasure. But for so long I had not had that. But just recently it came back, and I give God and and just persistence to knowing that I can't lose anything. I was rebuilding a mantle, and I could see what it would be before I finished it. It gave me great joy that, as Mrs. Eddy says, God has endowed man with certain inalienable rights, among which are self-government, reason, and conscience. And everything God gives can't be taken away. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda.
Thank you for the readings tonight and the music. I want to express my gratitude for all that I'm learning at Plainfield about God and my relationship with Him through the classes here and regular practitioner support. It's been changing about how I've been going about my days. Giving my life to Him is showing me how He can take care of us in all the details of our days. I start my day now with prayer in place of planning, worrying, and rushing. It has been helping me release the sense of pressure over timing of daily tasks. So many things happen along the way since I've been practicing these principles that shows God's hand in my day. One of the things I was grateful for was a few months ago, I had the task of organizing some paperwork, and some of it was, I think, about 15 years collection of a past job I had, and they were needed to be shredded or thrown away. And in the middle of all this was a check and a pay stub that I had not cashed at the end of this job when I was leaving. And I had never done anything like that before, and it was a tricky time. I was getting support during that time with a practitioner during this transition. But here was this check in the middle of everything, and it fell out. And it was nice to have the check, but I was just so grateful that this came to light, because it could have been shredded or thrown away. And just even having the time to take care of this paperwork and organize and bring order to my life was also a wonderful demonstration. And then the bank was able to cash it, even though it was 2 years old. I didn't have to get involved in any red tape or going back to the old job or anything. It was so wonderful just to be natural and quick about it. And being here has been teaching me patience, courage, faith in good. It's giving me hope and joy, and definitely helping me get myself out of the way. And I just want to thank this beautiful church for all that it does to help get this message out of Mrs. Eddy's Christian Science and Jesus' teaching. Thank you.
Thank you. Chardell.
Hello, good evening. And yes, the readings are absolutely wonderful. I wish to offer my gratitude to my practitioner for her patient and prayerful work. While we were praying about things in my life, there's been a healing of a fungus on a toenail that has come about. Through prayer and support, expecting healing, everything is healed, even if you are not praying specifically for any one thing. I am learning that we are, quote, complete, whole, and satisfied. For many months now, the nail has been normal and growing properly. I am very grateful for this seemingly small outcome of prayer and giving thanks for God, Christ Jesus, and Mary Baker Eddy. Also, thank you for our beautiful music.
Thank you. This is Bruce. This is kind of like another plug for our articles on our website. But I must say, when I read that article that I just announced, which was Sorrow, Not the Master of Joy, it made me very thankful, because it reminded me of the time that I first read from Science and Health what's known as the Doctrine of Christian Science, which starts, divine love cannot be deprived of its manifestation nor object. That joy cannot be turned into sorrow, for sorrow is not the master of joy. And it goes on from there. But I remember feeling how impressed I felt that sorrow does not master joy. You know, we do have a right to joy. And I must say that it's helped me out, especially this last week, but many times, to know the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's from the Bible. And I was taking some classes online at home for my work that I do. And I was like getting close to being finished, and I was about ready to start the next one. I saw how long it was. And at first I thought, that means I can't finish this now. And then I got this kind of heavy sense. And then I remembered this doctrine of Christian Science. Sorrow is not the master of joy. That means that joy dominates. So instead of feeling down that I couldn't finish it at that time when I thought I wanted to, I just rejoiced that I had this good class to take, and I have many other good activities to do. And the other thing that I had to do at that time, I felt very joy about doing that as well. So I picked up that class the following morning and finished it quickly and easily, and it's all done now. And guess what? Sorrow did not master joy. It was joy that mastered. So I'm thankful for that. Lil.
Thank you for those wonderful readings and the beautiful music. I was remembering a wonderful blessing I had a while back. I had been working a few days on a project doing a lot of bending and lifting and moving lots of boxes. That work there, then at that time, there was a statement in the lesson in Science and Health which said, whatever it is your duty to do, you can do without harm to yourself, unquote. Well, holding to this truth, I had no soreness, no stiffness, or any pain or anything. I was just so grateful that this statement of truth was just what I needed. And I thank God for his love, for his support, for this, just did everything for me. And I'm so grateful for Christian Science that teaches that we are spiritual and not material. Thank you, Mrs. Eddy, for giving us this powerful science.
Thank you. Mary.
I have a couple things to read from our website bulletin board. Florida, love the solo this morning. That was this past Sunday. Thanks to the quartet and to Jared for his lively accompaniment. And then Pennsylvania, such a wonderful round table this morning. It's November 3rd, and lesson on everlasting punishment. Thank you so much for the wholesome food for thought. And this is an email from England. Just want to send my sincere thanks to you and all the participants for the roundtable session on Sunday, which was excellent and so helpful. I have listened to it twice so far and will be listening to it again as there was so much to absorb. It gave me real hope, and it's also wonderful to know that this is going out to bless the whole world, and I am so grateful. Sent with love. And then we got a Halloween card from someone in Indiana, a new member. Thank you all. Thank to you all, and it's a saving lifeline to all of us out here. It's like being in class and learning new ways to love and pray. Thank you. Much love and gratitude for all the support and prayers. And that's Indiana. And then someone else, another one requesting a membership application. I have been listening to the church services and testimony meetings for a few months, along with a host of articles, readings, and roundtable meetings online, and I have been truly blessed and touched by the love of this church. I see that Christian Science is the way and the only way. That's a quote from Mrs. Eddy. So I am now ready for membership. Thank you for all that you're doing for mankind. Please accept my application, which is enclosed. And then this was a comment, an online comment posted on last week's testimony meeting YouTube page. And she says, I'm living near the California Kincaid fire area. I was under evacuation watch and a block away from those evacuated. I decided to pray on weather, as Mary Baker Eddy has instructed us to do. The idea came to me first to pray to keep all out of harm's way, and secondly, to pray that the wind would shift so the fire would turn on itself, which is just what it did. Amazingly, my electricity stayed on throughout this time. These are just a few of the blessings I received during this time. Being still and turning to God's love and care heals, and I am so grateful for Christian Science. This experience was amazing. Grateful to be here tonight. Thank you for those beautiful readings on wisdom. I'm so grateful that when we feel we lack wisdom, which is such an important quality to have and to express, and it's only God's wisdom that is the true wisdom, the Bible says we can ask God for it and we can obtain it. I was thinking I love that story in the book Ecclesiastes in the Bible about the one wise man who saved a city. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes one who is one with God. And such a beautiful short few verses of how that wise man saved the city. And this week, a few of us went to see the movie Harriet, which is the movie about Harriet Tubman, who was a slave in the South who freed herself. She found her way to freedom, and then she continued to save other slaves, pretty much single-handedly, with one big but. And the but was that she just was so faith-inspired. She believed in God, she believed in this purpose, and she knew with God she could do it. And the story is just so inspiring, what this one person did through her faith in God. So we were all so touched by it. And I'm just grateful in science we learn this. One with God is a majority, and with God all things are possible. So thank you for the meeting tonight, the beautiful readings, music, and testimonies. So glad to be here.
Thank you.